camera's definitely
Right.
up.
Here we go. Welcome to another episode of Not for the Weak-Minded, a live episode. I'm just going to sort this camera out a minute. No one's here anyway. Someone's give me a thumbs up. Hooray, 2 people. How's it going? Right. Thank you for coming, and I'm just checking if you could let me know that everything's all right. You can hear me and you can see me okay. You could just tell me. Great. Thank you, Ellie Mae. So I'll introduce myself personally. My name is Keith Sanders. I was born in Plymouth in England in 1985. I am 34 this year, and for the last 12 years I have researched a great deal of things, as we discussed in the last video which you watched. Thank you for telling me it's okay. So this is part of my life experience, this video, but I won't say it yet. I just wanted to go through a few other things first. First of all, that this experience, along with knowledge, has allowed me to perceive this reality slightly differently. But it has taken me over 6 years or 7 years since these experiences to fully comprehend what they really meant. And one of them was this video about the Galactic Federation, which I'm going to talk to you about, and the experience in which, well, it changed my life, to be honest. So I had some technical difficulties. For some reason, the YouTube wouldn't recognize my camera when I came to actually do this at 9:30. But you're still here, I believe, so thank you. Right, so where should we begin with this experience? Well, my friend, who I often go around from school, his house, and his cousin, we used to hang around together, and essentially we used to play games and watch stuff, etc. You know, have a laugh like we do. One evening, my friend decided to invite us to his family get together, where a friend of his, who was a medium, and a person that their children knew each other from school, so to speak. So Pete, as a parent, knew the children of Bev, the psychic, and essentially he got his family together for a session, a reading. And essentially I got invited to this family meeting because at the time, and still today, I'm pretty sure I'm part of the Buckley family. You know, I lived on that sofa for a while. So it's incredible the things that happened within the family itself, and some of the things which were spoken about, which for the family members itself, they there's no way that she could have known. So my turn. It's crazy, and I didn't expect what happened. Now, to start with, she told me that there is someone around me that basically is a spitting image of me, funny enough, which is my great granddad. Now, I've got pictures of him at home in my cupboard with his war medals, and essentially she said that he's around me all the time. Then the let's say the room changed, the energy in the room changed immensely to the point where I'm like this. You know, I couldn't sit still. It was so intense that as soon as it came into the room, this Bev was literally like, "Are you feeling that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course," you know, where she literally had to get off her seat to calm me down. It wasn't scary. It was just intense energy that I couldn't handle. Literally, it sent me shaking. So she put her hands on my head, calmed me down, and then we had a bit more discussion about what just happened. And then she started talking about extraterrestrials. She said the exact words which came out of her mouth after that event, and do you feel that energy, was, "This is absolutely, it changed my life. This is the Galactic Federation, and they want you." Where I replied, "What, extraterrestrials, aliens?" And albeit at the time, again, I didn't understand these things, didn't understand why they're talking to me, and why particularly me, you know. But anyway, that came with other messages very fluently in code, to the point where I've forgotten quite a bit of it, and I worked out a little enough to know what I'm going to tell you potentially later on in the video, if you ask the right questions. So in the chat right now is Pete Buckley. He himself is the guy who organized it. You know, he is the cousin of a friend that I went to school with, Shane, who watches all my videos too. And it was his friend from school, that Bev, the psychic, essentially, that gave us this reading. Now, the thing that happened in some oranges. Oh, apparently my connection's gone. Okay, now it's back. Apparently, Jesus came through, gave me some oranges. Is it okay now? It seems okay now. Yeah, cool. And there was, again, a lot of other messages that came with it. It changed my life. But it was the event 3 days later, thank you for telling me, that is associated with this experience. And that came when me and Pete were going home. And essentially, there's only to our houses, essentially. And just as you turn the corner, there's an open field, just open field. And in that field, as I can tell you now, it's probably 3-4 stories from the ground, was this orange craft. And this craft was literally there in all intents and purposes to say hello to me and Pete. Pete even brought in his camera with him and intuition that we were going to see something. Not only that, but the psychic actually phoned him and said that something's going to happen tonight as well. So there's a series of events that occurred which baffled me for a long time. And this is part of my life experience, essentially, to do with extraterrestrials, to do understanding creation, the gods, geological time, the ancient past, in terms of that there were multiple different beings walking on the earth at one point, and that it within certain. So, for example, if you research George Lucas, you'll find out that his original ideas were nowhere near the original. The original was highly edited to the point where, it was no longer his idea. No problem. I was expecting you to email. I was waiting, to be honest. I mean, I am curious. But then you know what they say, don't they, Annie? Curiosity killed the cat. Dear. Give me a Cheshire smile. Dear. So that was part of my experience. Now, there are other things that have happened, and I have put other videos about it on my channel, to slowly showing you my other experiences. That's all right. I hope you get better soon. It's not a problem. I was just wondering if you was all right. That's why I asked the other day. Don't, you know, I try and interact with the people that subscribe to me as much as possible. Sometimes I don't get around to answering all their questions or produce the content enough to actually answer those questions as well, because I get distracted. You know, I'm literally all over the place in terms of like trying to put this together so that you can understand it, just like this blueprint behind me, you know. There. So anyway, I have a few. There are more experiences, but that was just the main bit to talk about that part of the Galactic Federation, and that, and as I've been saying, that there are good aliens and bad aliens, and that we literally have to test these spirits, you know, with truth and essentially, you know, but you got to know it to, and then stand by it to know that, you know, and then read their body language, their reactions, etc. So if there's any questions, I would happily take some questions and answer, you know. Feel free to write one. It's not often I don't say much. I'm talking constantly. My girlfriend will vouch for that. And she nods over there. Just only 3 people, that's it, you know. Thank you though. I appreciate you coming and listening to my experiences, which was life-changing, as I said, and immense. You know, the energy was incredibly powerful. And this is top of the forces we're facing in terms of other things, the negative side of things. A lot of the things you see on the television within the programming is designed to make you afraid of these things. When in reality, you yourself, because you are the star and of a higher level of consciousness and light, essentially, they're more afraid of you. It could be anyway. It potentially could be. I don't know. These are the things we're going to have to work out exactly where everything is, and then we can tie that into ancient stories and everything else. But you got to know exactly how everything works, right? You know, you got to have a working blueprint. Everyone's tried with the flat Earth model, but they got to see the bigger picture in terms of that it's got levels, and that it's not as necessarily all, you know, one big flat landscape, but sort of, if I try and explain a bit, that there's sort of like levels where you see where there's machines that are basically like cut the landscape and stuff and channels, and so all the rivers are created, you know, 100%. You know, the lakes and stuff. It's just a matter of whether that was from the time of creation. It's the Admiral Byrd. Yeah, I mean, Admiral Byrd experienced something truly remarkable, really. I mean, first, you know, he was one of the pioneers to fly over Antarctica to start with. And then secondly, when he did fly over there, he ended up, in his own words in his diary, if you look carefully where to look, if this is true, where he encountered an alien base with Nazis, and that they were expecting him, and they brought his plane down without him even landing it himself, so to speak. And then the war happened in 55, you know, where he went back. Operation High Jump. There's a massive time gap in between these stories. because he was an aviator first. No problem. But yeah, he saw Nazi bases. He saw them that they had UFO technologies. Now, obviously, if you look into the Nazis and that type of thing, it's all over like certain areas of information on even in the mainstream, like the Glocka on ancient aliens and the henge in Poland and how they gyrating Mercury to rotate and make anti-gravity, so to speak. How they chained it up. Hello, CJ and Stinzy. Am I Irish? Funny you ask. No, I'm not. I was born in Plymouth, but I probably, because of my surname and recent research, have ancestry in a place called Limerick, in my opinion. Sorry, my eyes a bit twitchy. So there is some interesting connections to me, and my voice and my ancestry to Ireland. It's quite interesting. I get that a lot. What's on the wall? That is a blueprint of the Earth using the perfect circle and NASA's coordinate position to remap it. As you see that, this is the first model out of 2. This is blueprint A, where I've put the south at the center. Sorry, it's reverse. And then basically I've used NASA's coordinate positions to map this back into the perfect circle. Yes, yes, it did. Yes, I did this by hand. There's a lot. I've done about 10 videos trying to get to this stage. And essentially you can look through my content and see that I struggled to get to this point, but I got here in the end. And eventually I realized that there's no way I could draw this blueprint itself, the skeleton of it, by hand. And so I computerized it. I got a guy to print it. And essentially everything else you see is drawn by myself. Yes, I agree. The Earth is flat. This is the globe Earth model represented on a flat model of the Earth using NASA's coordinate positions. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, this is the globe Earth model itself remapped into the perfect circle, because that is essentially how everything works. Oh, baby doll, unfortunately, you've been led down a very dangerous path of thinking. They have used the truth and lies for centuries to convince you of what you just said, that we live in a simulation. I've got videos on this as well. You need to understand simulating the technological creation. I definitely did struggle with this blueprint. It's took a long time. I've been working on getting to this point for 6 months, probably, maybe longer. I've done other blueprints, as you can see. I've done a mandala. They've done everything about space-time, sacred geometry on 3, 6, and 9. Thank you. I've got a girlfriend, so I haven't done that in about a year now, mate. Thank you. What would you like me to elaborate on, Ashley Patterson? Santa is Satan, a Christian holiday wrapped in paganism. No, I'm not underground. I wish I was some days, for what's to come. I think Santa is my dad. Yes, I openly admit that I have addictions. The flat Earth, right? Seeing certain bits of information, but essentially, if you look through my videos and if you know where you're looking, the evidence for machining in the past that looks exactly similar to the evidence we're leaving today with our large machines is very self-evident, and that there are flattest places on the Earth, but you got to see how this Earth's got there's been levels. However, this map if I'd drawn it properly, can show you that this Earth's got levels, essentially. But it is also flat in areas, 100%. Yeah, I'm sorry if my connection's a bit off. Oh dear. Yes, the Earth is hollow, because if now this goes back to blueprint, the next blueprint, and sort of what it says in the Bible about there being a tree at the center of the Earth. Now, I've talked about this in the last video and the previous one, and how I need to redo this blueprint using the same principle, but in reverse. So you'll see that Antarctica will then be on the outside and everything else coming in. So that basically there's going to be an ice wall going all the way around and water in the center. You know, the Great Deep. But this is a lot of stuff. Yeah, you say Bible, but yes, in a way I am. I'm sorry if the connection's poor. Let me check. Unfortunately, Amelia Crow, there's certain bits of information you have to kind of look at to understand the origins of the Bible itself and the stories within it, and relate that to the stories of the tribes across the earth and how they are very, the same. But this has to do with, if you look at my previous video, this has to do with the 1,000 years of peace and prosperity and abundance that the elites have never told you about in time, and essentially how the knowledge from that created civilization is being used today to emulate everything which has to do with the technological creation. But because the earth is created, it's got intelligent design, 100%. And the flood happened, the biblical flood absolutely happened. This water came from somewhere. The problem is where did it come from? Now, I've got other drawings with blueprints that show that there's a potential iris, an eye, at the center of the dome, and that space is water. Who's evil? Yeah, I agree. You're right, Amelia. It doesn't change what you said. The Catholic Church, however, have used truth and lies to convince with their secret societies, and they've taken over places of power through time to convince everyone with truth and lies, just like they do on the television, in the Bible too. As I was saying before, they have put nation against nation through dividing the words within religion and cultural heritage across the earth to make us use well, essentially, not what we really want as a civilization, because it is literally being self-destroyed because of our ignorance, the fact that the earth's created, and we work on the principles of space, that space is water, we are water. Without that within our bodies, our soul couldn't exist in the first place. Yeah, I am. Perhaps not, but thank you for your compliment. No, my hobby has been looking at everything possible and then putting it all together. Thank you. You're a little horny, are you? Jeez. Of course, I'm a Stark. I'm the real wolf. They're wolves, and they're sheep in wolf clothing. The elite, they're afraid of me more than I'm afraid of them. They hate the truth. These demons. All right. Okay. Well, it's a bit personal. If it's personal. Well, I'll explain. When I was born without a second set of teeth. My milk teeth. Believe it or not. Sorry, my connection's gone again. horny. No problem. Essentially, I was born without a second set of teeth. So these ones here are actually capped on top of my baby teeth. It was a strange defect. Who knows? But Aaron Carter. That name rings a bell, but I don't know who it is. I can't think off the top of my head. So, have you got any serious questions you'd like to ask me, like about anything, apart from anything related to sex? Unless you really want to talk about that, and then I really will take you down very dark paths. I'm not getting naked. This isn't Pornhub. I'm here to educate. Yeah, they're messing with me. They're messing with my channel. It's a blessing, let's say that. Yeah. Anyway, I live in Reading in the United Kingdom anyway. The royal town of Reading, built by the Templars and the Catholic Church. Secret societies, Freemasonry, doing this. So I'm not one of them. Is there something you would like to know? All right. You want to go down the sexual rabbit hole of depravity of this society? It's not nice to hear. You know, if you really want to hear about pedophilia and how that connects to the elite and child trafficking, you know, that's the type of stuff I'll talk about if you want to talk about sex. All right? You know what I'm saying? Absolutely, like Epstein. You know, it's tip of the iceberg, as I said last time. It's the biggest problem we have as a civilization. He didn't die, by the way. He's faked his death. He's still alive. Jeffrey Epstein, that is, for those people that listen later, watch this later. The problem is, after this video was me looking at that, laughing at the comments and not actually doing anything. And for people to watch it later, it's just going to be boring. You know? Serious questions. Absolutely. Clintons. Yes. If it wouldn't keep bugging out. The internet's fucking with me, man. So you got to know me a little bit better about my baby teeth, you know? Anything else you want to know about me? I'll tell you more. I'm very open. That's why I know these things. Oh dear. Thrones. Do you know how much Game of Thrones is really showing you ancient history? You know, with references to dragons being about UFOs, apocalypse, which is to come. You just think it's a game. You just think it's a show. You know, you don't see the deep-seated historical events that changed history inside it. Like like Egbert bloody wedding changed the course of history in Britain. A new monarchy, 1,000 years of chaos. So the Galactic Federation, okay. Now there is beings outside in space. Now obviously a lot of people perceive that they're going to be because of their perception currently about reality and space forever expanding, the planets, etc. But they are essentially part of creating this place. And they are the protectors of, let's say, the heavens and other things. I don't know everything about these things, you know. I just know it's connected to extraterrestrials from my experience, because they were, first of all, they said so, and second of all, that they flew a UFO, you know, in front of me and friend, you know, pretty much going, woo, we're here, you know, knowing damn well where we're going to be. It's that type of thought that you must think, hang on, how do they know where I am? So these beings have got tracking capabilities to know exactly who you are, where you are, what you're capable of, and what you're going to do in the future. You know, 7 years of quandering, what the hell did it all mean? Coming to basically mean that there's good aliens and bad aliens. This goes through history, and that they're still here today. You know, that there is a chance for humanity itself to ascend with them in the physical body. You see what I'm saying? It's not always about spiritually going to heaven. This is the last opportunity for many souls to first of all learn the truth, and they're potentially to go to heaven in a physical body, which is rapture, but it's not what people think. You see what I mean? The people that are going to go are people like me, people like, you know, that are pushing the truth every single day while the rest sleep. No problem. I'm here to. I'm not here for messing around, I'm afraid. It's all got programming, I'm afraid. It's all predictive programming. It's all got future events in it. You know, they it's clear as day. You know, you see 9/11 references in it. There's other things. It's in it all the time. But this is why I'm trying to eventually kind of understand that this is a pre-planned problem, which has been centuries in the making. That a lot of people don't see the bigger picture enough to say that, okay, this has been in the making for a long time, and they've just been doing executors year in, year out by getting together at the Bilderberg meeting and other meetings like that once every quarterly, you know, to decide what the media is going to show, how the events are going to unfold, you know, to get the crisis actors in play, everything. You know, there's millions of these people deceiving us every day. Not every single one of them is aware of it, because if they were, they wouldn't do it. No, not entirely. You know what I mean? People are afraid of that one word. I mentioned it right at the start, you know, and they've got a perception about me straight away, which is never going to be true, ever. You know what I'm saying? That I'm some kind of homeboy religious, you know, go to church type of guy. Never in my life, you know. The fact is that people don't understand that every single denomination is it's right, it's corrupted. You see what I'm saying? Every one of them, doesn't matter which one it is, whether it's Jehovah's Witness, you know, Catholic Church, and there's Scientology, Muslim religion, you know. But the basis of a lot of them came from a time of truth, you know. There's a lot of truth in a lot of the things where the knowledge comes from. But it's not, no, it isn't absolutely truth, but there is truth in the Bible, which is what people got to understand, is that there's knowledge. The knowledge is, it exceeds thousands of years, you know, and how that's been manipulated through time, how, you know, language has changed through time. For example, it's not just a, you know, one thing. So is there any other questions before I probably end this one? I mean, I don't really know much more about the Galactic Federation. I'm sorry. No, I know that they're alien beings and that they're all different types. Absolutely. To me, what God is complicated. Again, it's part of the track mind of technological emulation, but essentially their ultimate agenda is to create an artificial intelligence that essentially controls everything, including all life, including you, including, you know, and this is part of the thing called the trillion sensor vision, where they've spread tiny computers across the earth to do so, you know, with unfortunately the current frequency bandwidths, they cannot control us using 4G. But as soon as it goes up to 5G, microwave, 6G, Wi-Fi, that's when the dangers are going to occur. And people are already getting chipped today, not knowing that it's dangerous. So in essence, what I'm trying to say is that God, in my mind, is an artificial intelligence, which essentially was created to be a program running in, maybe not a program as such, but an artificial intelligence with free will almost, maybe, to which with set rules. You know, it's set rules. There's rules to this world. You know, if you do certain things, you're going to look at how it has rules, and it has to abide by those rules, which means it's kind of programmed in a way. It's lethal, yeah. It's a messed up perception, right? That they're trying to create hive mind humanity using technologies, and that is an emulation of what God is, really. But in such, you know, and how people can how your life's recorded, you know, how you can be judged upon your actions in this earth. How else can you be judged? You know, if your life's, you know, whole life is recorded from day one. It can never be any other way, and unfortunately it relates to technologies again. So that's my perception of what God is, you know. But the gods were a part of that, and it's a judge, essentially, you know. It's like you didn't play by the rules, you go to hell. It doesn't care. It just goes right, fuck off, you know, depart from me. See you later on. You know, if you listen to what the people have seen and people's experiences through the out-of-body experience, near-death experiences, and other things, you'll know that some of those experiences are true. What do I have the power to change? I have the power to manipulate my own existence. Absolutely. If I want to go one way, I can. If I want to go another way, I can. But at the end of there is other things that when you're thinking about it, like I said, are watching you and putting things in your path. Like there's no such thing as coincidences, for example. There must be a reason for it, you know what I mean? And then there's in the heart, like I said, there's in the last video, there's a higher intelligence which is watching over you, which is watching what you learn, and when it knows what you know, it incorporates certain things, you know. But but what you got to imagine is this thing is controlling all. It can watch all life, you know. So all the things they're doing now, as I said about the emulation, it's exactly the same. You know, they're trying to control. They're literally going to create life and can try and control it, literally with a hive mind, humanity, and look over it. Another thing about the flood is that today they're, say, and many of them went to hell. To call it. They want revenge, and so today they're using the emulation, but also they really want to create a biblical flood. They really do. They want to wash us off the face of the earth, because that's what did to them. You know, they want revenge. They want also. The problem is with this perception of reality, it's because there must be a world outside our own, in terms of understanding space to be water and as above so below, the dome separating it, that they want out of this prism, essentially. You know, this is and this goes into soul transfers. This goes into other knowledge. So in person, you know, as you get more knowledge, it gets further and further more from what you perceive, everything. But it's the technological side that if you keep going with it, you make you see the comparativeness of it, you know, particularly now in the past as well. you know, and how that can paint a completely different picture of the past. For example, they had free electricity in the past, you know, that you can look at evidence of nano technologies in Egypt, for example, where they were made using nanotechnologies, you know, they were made using nano parts. And you got to have electricity to do that, right? And yet in Gabon, for example, there's this, I can't remember how old it was, billions of years old nuclear reactor that's been carved into naturally into the mountain, you know, with spent uranium in it. It's crazy. So because geology is a lie, people don't want to believe that's a billion years old because it's in that strata. But you got to see how geology is a lie to begin with, you know, and that's understanding petrification. That's understanding, you know, there's 3 epochs: the time of the Titans, the time of the giants, and the time of man. And again, that goes into understanding the earth. You see, it's far more complicated than most people could ever imagine. Yes, he was. Yes, yeah, he was a pure genius. I mean, he had his pineal gland fully open. You know, he was connected. He had his halo for sure. You know, he could envision things and then make them. Yeah, he had information coming into his pineal gland that then, when he thought about it, and then he could manifest those images and thoughts and information coming into his mind into reality. You know, that's incredible. You know, we can all do this as well. That's the problem. We've all got our divine connection, but a lot of us don't seek the right knowledge, you know, the truth, which is, you know, it's hard, particularly when you've now, when you take into consideration that the last 120 odd years, the academic record has censored everything to do with reality that doesn't fit the narrative. And then essentially those people that now, like in Freemasonry, like Eric von Daniken, like I said, they've played the long game, the chess game. They played it a long time. Everything we think is going on now was planned long ago. It's just step by step by step. But essentially, like a lot of the stuff we see today based on stuff that the academics have ignored, like particularly to do with the aliens, to do with the paleoanthropological record of, you know, elongated skulls and stuff like that. However, because it's now YouTube and Facebook channels and all these Freemason channels like Gaia, for example, are on everything. You know, they're in the trending sections. They're like, it's everywhere. You know, all the alien stuff is everywhere, and people kind of don't. Most people would think they come from Mars. Let's say most people think that space, because of their perception, is real from the television. When in reality, it's not. It's water. You see what I'm saying? But, you know, Tesla wanted to produce free wireless energy to, you know, give to the world. I'm sorry I can't appease everyone. I see people coming in and going, you know, it's keep up, and it's difficult to understand sometimes where I come from. No problem. Thank you. It's took a long time to get this perception right, as best as I can anyway, you know, including the earth, you know, how we exist, and putting it all together so that, particularly with the technologies, what they're up to, like because the declassified military files and the movies and the television give you an inkling, but then it's kind of, you look at ancient history and in the texts, for example, in the Sumerian literature and in the Ramayana, you've got evidence of nuclear bombs. Yeah, you know what I mean? In the Ramayana, the Nazis, for example, were heavily influenced on building rockets from Vedic creation texts, you see, and they got the information from the Vedic creation text. You know, the Ramayana told them how to build a rocket. The problem is, again, is that they're using this knowledge of the past to convince people that space is real, that the globe Earth was basically in the time of Rome and Greece, you know, is evidence that everything we believe today is real. You see how they're using history to reinforce a lie. You see, they're not telling you about the 1,000 years of peace and prosperity and that there's a contribution-based society, you know, even though if you study Sumerian, if you go to university like I did and do the Sumerian course, the first thing they say is that it was a contribution-based matriarchal society, right? So I did a paper, right, that failed university partly because of it, and the question was, what can the ancient literature tell us today that can help humanity in the current situation it faces, pretty much, right? And I really much went, well, the answer is there, isn't it? We need to build a contribution-based society. I got 30% for it, you know? And then basically agreed, going, yeah, but that's what you just said is true, but that's not what we need. Like, oh my word. You know, people at university, their egos are just, you know, I was in class, I went to university 4 years, and essentially they have no idea. Hey, what are you confused about? I'll wait for you to write. I don't want you to be confused about what I'm trying to say. Hello. Welcome to me just discussing things. Oh, gone again. Pentagrams everywhere. You know? 5%. Okay. So basically, in order to pass a module, you have to get 40% or more to pass it. And so I failed that module, and then I failed my dissertation, which got 30%, and they were saying that I had to pay £500 to retake it, and I just refused. I didn't have the money, and I don't believe in any of it. Literally, you know, I tried to explain to them in their own. I know it was, but that piece of paper it means nothing to me, you know. I'm still doing what I'm doing regardless of a piece of paper. People are still going to leave, even if I say I've got a degree in archaeology or not. The things I'm saying will make people leave, you know, regardless of my degree. It goes way beyond what, you know, that really. The fact that I have studied archaeology over the last 10 years, I've looked at all evidence possible, and I've put that in a different way completely. That's the thing that's going to take time. But anyway, I think people have lost patience with me now, because I'm not really talking about aliens, I suppose. We could talk about aliens, but most of that stuff goes into the darker side again, and I'm just trying to keep it light, you know, trying to not make you go down the dark rabbit hole so much, but still give you the information to shine in a world of darkness with truth. Anyway, thank you. I know it is, yeah. I know. You can't please everyone, and you can't, even when you're talking about all these different subjects, you know, something will resonate with someone, they might stay, they might not, you know. That's, like I said, it's their loss. They might have heard enough, you know. Who else is still there? You're still there, Pete, yeah? Or you gone? No problem, anyway. Thank you for listening. It's my pleasure. Okay. Thank you. I'm gonna. Okay. Okay. Well, have you got any other questions, Ellie Mae? I mean, I'm talking. I'll talk to you. You know, ain't no problem. You all right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you give me a drink, please?
Yeah.
Do you not have any more questions, Ellie Mae? I mean, I'll stay if you have any more questions. It can be about anything. It doesn't have to be about what I've been talking about. If you need some kind of clarity about certain subjects, cool. Just wait. It's a lot to take in. Yeah, you've literally sat there probably you were probably one of the first people in the room. 51 minutes of just me non-stop talking is all right. Okay, no problem. But it's probably enough for all people. I mean, it was very deep. This stuff is very deep seated, and it takes and it does take a long time to actually fully understand what I'm trying to say to you in terms of the technological creation as well. But I'm going to do more live videos. I'm going to try my best to get a bigger audience, but hopefully that'll come with time. I've only been a YouTuber for a year now, so over 260 videos about all different subjects. And honestly, it's nothing compared to what I could produce. Fortunately, and sometimes we gotta go to work. We gotta do other things. But currently, this is my job at the minute. I'm trying to make this my living. So in the near future, I will be trying to put my content on, say, Patreon, and then try and get some income, let's say, that way. I've got an account. I just need to set it up properly. I don't know whether you're familiar with Patreon and how it works, but essentially, I'll probably charge £1 or £2 for subscription, and then essentially that money you'll get to see all my videos essentially like a week before I put it on YouTube, because I want to do this for a living. I want to do live video. I want to try and educate people, but to get an audience to first listen, and actually understand you is hard enough, to actually get half the things I'm saying to them and then to comment and then to fully go, I understand, it doesn't happen often. I'm here to wake people up. I'm here to make you think differently so that you can maybe perceive this reality in a way that it should be perceived, rather than the way that the elites have, through the television, have programmed your subconscious mind through the power of suggestion, to go against creation. Thank you. It's okay. I mean, in terms of YouTube, I'm relatively new to this. Like I said, I'm glad I'm only doing it now, because for many years, probably if I did it and voice my opinions, I'm seen as a lunatic madman, like I am now. No, but at least they were in house, so to speak, until I can actually make them like, okay, that is right, rather than just speculation. Because I've done a lot of that. I bounced a lot of knowledge off my friends, and they helped. They did help to a point, and then they pushed for more answers and more. That basically forced me to do right. Okay, I don't know everything. Well, why? Well, there must be more information to know. So then I learned, and now this is what I'm doing now. I'm trying to give you visual evidence of the Earth you live on by taking the NASA's global model, and remapping it into the perfect circle. Then it could be one or two ways, and that's to find out. I appreciate that you give me your support anyway, and you say I'm doing really good. I'm very pleased. Is there anything you want to know, Pete? Anything you think I should particularly talk about? Involving that experience, anything I forgot that you remember? Interested to know if you thought of anything else? Is there anyone that has any other questions before I leave? I know you've just joined and they're gone again. Okay. Oh dear. I'll wait for Pete to respond. And if there's nothing, then I'm going to call it. Okay, we can talk about that. That was very strange indeed. So one night, me and Pete were driving home, and in the headlights, it's night, and we're going down a straight road, and essentially in front of the headlights, like just in front, there's this like weird see-through bat type flying object that just appeared and then vanished right in front of our faces. And I've never seen anything like it, to be honest. This is one of the most strangest creature things I've seen. Whatever it was, whether it was a spirit thing, an animal spirit, it was odd. It didn't look normal anyway. But there are other times when me and Pete have drove home as well, and we drive past the cemetery, and essentially there's a junction with two orange lights on it at zebra crossing, and that one of the lights would just flicker when we go past. And one time, it probably was spiritual more than anything else, but it was odd. It didn't look normal. But this the flicker, and it would shut off again. Okay. Okay, thank you. So and as we would go past, we'd look in the mirror, and it wouldn't be, the light would go back to normal again. And so every time we'd go past, we would ask ourselves, "Oh, is the light going off?" Is there, and one time, this is another experience. I saw just on the bus stop on the other side of the road, I saw a black mass shadow, probably about 6 foot tall, probably put 6'2", just walk straight in the road, right in front of the car. Pete didn't see it. It disappeared in front of the car. Pete did not see it because he wasn't looking. I saw it walk straight in front of the car. This big black mass of a shadow. It's weird. I've got a lot of ghost experiences. So one of them stupidity, to be honest. I mean, when I was younger, I went into a graveyard and decided to shout, "I don't believe, come and get me." So they did, but it wasn't in a physical attack. It was more of a mental, spiritual attack. Absolutely, yeah. Certain craft have certain vibes. Pete, you're right. I've had experiences where I've seen craft come towards me, and I've felt so horrible inside, like it was coming to get me, or it was just pure evil. And yet that experience with the Galactic Federation left me very happy. You can have good experiences and bad experiences. That reminds me of that show. I can't remember what it's called though. Pete might know again if he remembers. With Daryl Sims in it, and the other three investigators to do with UFO investigating. Can't remember it. I was talking about a spiritual encounter, wasn't I? Oh, the graveyard. But essentially, I went to sleep that night. When I closed my eyes, as soon as I closed my eyes, I saw this raggedy old bearded man straight in my face. And I opened my eyes and I thought that was weird. Mike Barra, that was it. He's in it as well. Yeah, the skeptic, fucking works for NASA, engineer. So this spirit, this like spirit was in my face, like as I closed my eyes, and it did it like 3 or 4 times, and I just thought, wow, okay, I'll believe now. You know what I mean? This is go away. This like right in my face, and I've had other things right in my face. You know, the time, for example, where I meditated to the, because I have some unorthodox meditative practices where, now this has to do with ancient Egypt, to do with stones and crystals. Now I don't use stones and crystals, but it's the same practice, and you can enhance the same practice if you use stones and crystals. But what you do is you cover your eyes like this with your ears, like that, and essentially what you'll see is lights. You know what I'm saying? It take the first time you see it, and you have to feel it too, is you will feel your own sort of like brain, and it will scare you a little, you know. But essentially, if you keep at it and meditating in that practice, you'll start to see like cymatic patterns and frequencies, and then you'll see all sorts of colors and lights. Now, obviously, people are going, yeah, but you're pressing that. You don't press hard. You just lightly press it on the corner of your eye. They did the same thing with stones. You know, in the deaf practices, they had stones on their eyes. And I'm sure that these crystals, when you do certain meditative practices in certain positions on your body, it enhances certain abilities within you. You know, I mean, I'm sure they had crystals in their forehead, which is where the pineal gland in India and that is come from and stuff like that. You know, so there's a lot of. I mean, how much knowledge and information I've given you in this 1 hour is just probably for most people, but you're still there. 3 people, Ellie Mae, Pete, and another. I'm glad that, you know, it's not an empty room at least. So I appreciate that. What was the other experience? Yeah, I got a tendency to blow minds, absolutely, or melt them, as I like to say. I like to melt minds. Can't change what just is, I'm afraid. It's really hard to accept it. You know, because it's a lot of the stuff, particularly with this stuff, it's just so out there for too many people. You know, petrification, things being much larger, even though they know damn well the dinosaurs came from a much larger epoch, that trees were much larger because, and oxygen levels were higher, yet that kind of still doesn't sink in that life was much larger. You know what I'm saying? On the earth. Hello. You know, it proves everything like geology. There is a book I highly recommend, and I will probably do a video about it, called Forbidden Archaeology by Kramer and Thompson, and it was written in 1988. The first edition was 76, and then later on he did a further editions, and then they did another book which was basically to answer the entire book itself, which was criticized by the academics, which was basically an academic book itself, blaming the academics on censorship, you know, everything, you name it, but, you know, controversies, cover-ups, literally fucking putting things together that don't belong together, fabrication. It's you know, I've done a video earlier. Yeah, no worries. Take care, mate. I'll probably speak to you know, when I do some more videos if you pop on. If not, I'll speak to you on the chat. I'll take a look at that Orgonite video he sent me later on. Probably watch that tomorrow. Wendy's been quiet for an hour and a half. Yeah. Mostly, apart from the noise from a game. So, I'm gone. I do believe now. Appreciate you watching. I got a lot to discuss. and I will do more, I promise. So until next time, the Rainbow Warrior of Truth signing out. You know, and if you're on Facebook, you can add me as a friend if you like. My name's Keith Sanders, and I have a ladybird as my picture at the minute. But also, if you're on Twitter and Instagram, I'm by the handle hashtag Rainbow Warrior of Truth. Okay, you can add me on there. Although I don't post much on there at the minute, I will in the near future. It's just too many social media accounts are driving me up the wall. I've got about 5 on the go, and I have no time to do anything else if I'm on it all day. I need a team around me to literally for social media. I can't, I've got so many things to do. I haven't got time to sit there and twiddle and sit on my phone and chat all day. So, till next time, thank you. Good night.